Hey everybody across the Zeigler Auto Group, welcome to this special live edition of the Driving Vision Future of Zag podcast, 2-in-1. Today with us, NASCAR race car driver, everybody loves and knows that I love to say this, NASCAR race car driver, number 78 Live Fast, Josh Bilicki. Josh, welcome to the show.
Sam, and you guys, thank you so much for having me. It's awesome to be here with this beautiful backdrop. This is like heaven for me at Zeigler Motorsports.
We're live in a place we don't usually get to be. First of all, we're not usually here. You're going to see me pick this up every now and again because there's a tremendous echo in this room, but we're going to overcome it because of where we are. We're at the home of Zeigler Motorsports. It's over 100,000 square foot facility. We've got every brand imaginable housed in this building, and it's truly iconic, surrounded by the Rocky Mountains, waterfall behind us, which we had to shut off due to the noise, music above us we had to shut off because of the noise. But this is an awesome setting, and outside is something equally as special. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But before we go there, Araya, welcome.
Thank you, Sam, for having me.
With our own training and development team.
Yes.
Super grateful to have you here. And then Bob Keel, Director of Fixed Stops, Zeigler Auto Group.
Thank you for having me, everybody. Welcome to the podcast.
So we're excited to be here on the floor because, Josh, outside is the car,
Yes.
in the trailer.
Yeah, the actual race car that we are racing this weekend at MIS. So it's super cool to have that here at Zeigler Motorsports. There's so many awesome toys here inside. There's an awesome toy outside too, the hauler and the actual race car we're racing. So yeah, we'll be here until 4 p.m. signing autographs. If anybody sees this and wants to come out, we'll be here.
And the car is outside. It's in the sunlight right now, so you can actually see that car. Today, it's in Kalamazoo, Michigan, in front of Motorsports, but tomorrow, it will be at MIS.
On track at our fastest racetrack. This is our fastest racetrack, actually, MIS. Last year, we were at 210 miles per hour in the draft. So people ask me all the time what our fastest track is, and it's right here. It's not our biggest track. Our biggest track is actually Daytona, but we run less horsepower at Daytona. So Here, we run the maximum power that our cars produce, and in the draft, about 210 miles per hour. So I have data to back that up, too, from last year on
That's awesome.
my laptop. So, yeah, I'm so excited. Coming here to Michigan is always a lot of fun. There's always a great atmosphere. For one, from the Zeigler team, I know you guys have so many employees coming to the races this weekend. That's really special to me. But for two, the campground infield is sold out. So that means
it
all of
is.
Michigan, yes. Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's always electric coming here. Like driving through the infield, you have so many diehard race fans that they're just having a great time. So it's awesome to come here because of that electric energy.
So before we go into MIS, we definitely want to talk about that. In fact, we want to talk about who was here last year because you actually drove a car that meant something very special to not only the Zeigler Auto Group because it represented our name, but the entire state of Michigan, or at least half of Michigan. The farther you get from Ann Arbor, the more it did. The car was green and it was Michigan state styled, and you had some special guests. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But Josh, I want to go back a week, and let's start at Wisconsin's Road America. You had a tremendous race last weekend as part of Xfinity with DGM. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so my home race is actually at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, about an hour from where I live. And I drove in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, driving the number 91 Chevrolet Camaro, and we finished 8th, which is my career best by one position. We finished 9th last year at Daytona. So it was a great day for our small team, and that team has 8 employees.
Yeah.
They run 2 cars, sometimes 3 cars.
Wow.
So to finish 8th, we were up against some really stiff competition. And we had the speed all weekend. We finished practice in 7th, we qualified 11th, and we finished 8th. So to do that in front of my home crowd was really, really special. I had a really cool sponsor on board, Trimtex Drywall Products. They were my sponsor that took me from amateur racing to pro racing at Road America in 2015 with the same exact paint scheme. Okay. So to have that same sponsor come back, all those years later, as I'm a little bit more established in my career, was really meaningful to me. Have the sponsors there at the racetrack, have my family at the racetrack, and it's safe to say we had the most cheers too during the driver intros. So it was super cool just to be there, my home track that weekend.
Actually, Josh, since we're on that topic, will you share your beginning story? Since we're talking about your roots, how you got into NASCAR is improbable and extraordinary that you are where you are today, just having finished 8th. And by the way, same race team, Xfinity last year, Daytona, you finished 9th, right? Yeah. Talk to us about answering an ad and having hope of one day being able to race and having that hope realized.
Yeah, so in 2016, I was kind of bouncing around between different series. I wasn't making a living driving race cars. I was working at a drywall distribution yard, and I wanted to be a race car driver, professional race car driver. And I had some rides lined up throughout the year that weren't really solidified. the NASCAR Xfinity Series had visited Road America every single year, and they brought the Trans Am Series with them, which was a support series. So Trans Am would race Saturday morning, the Xfinity Series would race Saturday afternoon. The Xfinity Series was the main highlight of the race weekend, but the Trans Am Series was cool too. So in 2016, I had a Trans Am ride lined up for that NASCAR weekend, and that deal fell apart the week of the race on Monday.
Oh.
It was a car that was just being built out of somebody's backyard, and that deal fell apart, and I was really bummed. I was really hurt because I felt like that was my opportunity to showcase my talent at my home track. So on Wednesday, I thought, what the heck? I'm going to look at the NASCAR Xfinity Series entry list. And I know this is a long shot, but my dad always taught me never be afraid to ask questions. And I mean, I used to call race teams all the time, and I wouldn't even hear back from the race teams. But I looked at the entry list for the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Wednesday, 2 days before they got on track for practice, and I noticed one team had 2 cars listed as to be announced.
Yes.
So I thought, all right, what the heck? I'm going to send them a Facebook message. The team was Biker Racing, owned by a Nigerian businessman, and little did I know they didn't have a driver lined up actually. So they reached back out to me and said, Josh, if you can bring 4 sets of tires as part of a sponsorship deal, you can be in the car. Well, I called up a sponsor and they said yes immediately. So Wednesday night I got approval from NASCAR to race that NASCAR race at Road America, and it was honestly a shot in the dark. And my advice to everybody is always shoot your shot, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that was my first NASCAR start, and that stemmed from a Facebook message. And that team actually brought me back to run some circle tracks later in the year. At the time, I thought Road America was just kind of a one-off race. This is my one-off opportunity. You know, it's cool to be here. I didn't think it was going to really amount to anything else. And the team actually brought me back to race circle tracks later that year, which led me to meeting, you know, different people in the industry, which led me to where I am today. So it's a super cool story. I don't get to tell it very much, so thank you for asking.
What an incredible story of taking a risk, of seeing an opportunity, and daring to say, you know what, I can be that guy. What did it feel like on that day sitting behind the wheel for your first NASCAR start?
You know, I actually haven't really shared this with anybody, but I got emotional
Yeah.
during the driver intros.
Yeah.
Like, they put you in a truck, in the bed of a truck, and drive you around the racetrack. And I had been going to Road America since I was born.
Yeah.
Because my dad races at Road America as a hobby. So, you know, for 3 or 4 times a year, I'd go to Road America ever since I was a baby. So I'd been going there my entire life. And when NASCAR goes there, that is one of their biggest weekends of the year.
Yeah.
Like, NASCAR loves going to Road America. So for me to be in that race and me to actually be in the back of a truck during driver intros,
Yes.
I got a little bit emotional because I was thinking to myself, you know, it wasn't that long ago that I was on the other side of the fence looking at drivers wishing, all right, I wish that was me.
Yeah.
So it just, everything happened so fast. I remember exactly where I was when I got the phone call saying if you can find sponsorship. I was at a water park with my little sister. She was 4 years old. She was 4 or 5 at the time. And I was like, all right, Sarah, sorry. We got to go home because I got some work to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was super cool. And that was 2016. So.
Josh, do you ever look back and think, what would have happened if I hadn't sent that message or if I hadn't taken that risk?
I don't think I'd be in NASCAR. Yeah. Honestly, there was nothing really pointing me in the direction of NASCAR racing. I thought it was a one-off opportunity. And the reason the team had an opening is because a lot of times at road courses, teams will bring in road course drivers so that car gets extra points. You know, road course guys on a track that they're familiar with might outperform a guy that's never been to Road America. So I had never really thought about going the NASCAR route. I never thought it was a possibility because my background is not circle track racing.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about NASCAR, you think about tracks like MIS, which is a big circle track. I had no circle track experience, so I did not think NASCAR was a possibility. I mean, I grew up playing NASCAR video games. I loved it. I just thought it was too far out of fetch for me. So I don't think I'd be in NASCAR. I, honest to God, don't think I'd be a professional race car driver right now.
Well, thank you for sharing that story. That was really cool to hear about just that journey.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So you go from that beginning, from that day where you get your shot, you take it, and then all those races later, you're here.
Yeah.
Last year, you're at MIS, and you're hosting one of the greatest basketball coaches of all time, Tom Izzo, one of the greatest football coaches of our era anyway, Mel Tucker, Michigan State. What did that mean to you last year representing Michigan State, Zeigler Auto Group, and then Spire Sports, Motorsports?
That was one of the coolest weekends of my career, and not just at the racetrack too. I mean, we brought the actual race car to the MSU campus on the football field, in the middle of the football field.
Big
and
photo
we had,
op.
we had Mel Tucker there taking photos. It was just a really cool opportunity for all of us. And then obviously Tom Izzo too, him being at the track. They were the Grand Marshal, so they were the ones that said, "Gentlemen, start your engines." It was a cool weekend. and it all happened so fast. I wish I could relive it, honestly.
Yeah. It's where we learned, and we shared on the podcast, Tom Izzo has a fear of tight spaces, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he got in the car. I think he got in the car, but once he got in the car, he said, man, this is claustrophobic. And I do tell everybody that. I say, if you sit in one of our race cars, the first thought you're going to think is, wow, this is tight.
Yeah.
Once you start driving, you understand why everything is so tight around you. You're going 200 miles per hour into the corner. You need some comfort there. So it's a little bit uncomfortable, though, the first time that you get in the race car.
So we want to ask some questions about what we can expect at MIS. And I think Araya is going to ask a little bit about how you prep. And then we're going to talk drama. Bob Keel,
a lot of drama.
Fixed Ops Director across the Zeigler Auto Group, wants to talk a little bit about the excitement and drama that is NASCAR. But what do you expect this weekend at MIS?
Excitement. Excitement from the 78 car, excitement from the other cars too. We'll lead into that too. But for us, our small team, a top 20 would be a win for us. Last year there was some attrition. I do think that there's going to be some attrition again this year. This track is just so wide. I mean, it's one of the widest tracks that we go to, one of the fastest tracks we go to, as I said.
Yeah.
It's really inviting to go 4 wide, 5 wide. But then you get down to the corner, there's only 3 lanes. So if you're 5 lanes, you got to figure out, all right, who's going to give? And there's never any give in the NASCAR Cup Series.
Yeah.
So that's why wrecks happen. I think it's going to be an exciting race, and there's probably going to be some drama after this race weekend too. So I'm excited. It's a sold-out campground, as we said. A lot of Zeigler team members here this weekend, so this is always really high on my list.
It's going to be a great weekend.
It's exciting.
Yeah. So, Josh, here at Zeigler Auto Group, our mission is our family providing your family with the ultimate automotive experience. And so a lot of people know that we place a lot of emphasis on health and wellness across the Auto Group. We have a great partnership with Athletic Mentors and do a lot of things to just bring awareness back to showing up better for ourselves so that we can show up better for our customers and our team members. So we love talking health and wellness, and so I know driving, of course, is very obviously taxing on your body. What are some things that you feel like you do in order to prepare for the race, not even physically, but even mentally?
Yeah, so a lot of people think that we just sit in a car and turn left. They think that driving to work is the same as what we do on the racetrack, but it's not. Honestly, you're in a car that gets up to 135 degrees, 140 degrees for sometimes 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
So you need to, for one, fuel your body. You need to make sure your body's fueled. I always eat a Jimmy John's sub the race day, but I always watch
what number? What do you get?
I get a 13.
A number 13.
It's
I don't know
Jimmy-
what that one is.
Cubano.
Is Jimmy John's a
the
sponsor of
Cubano.
NASCAR? Have you gotten them?
They used to be.
Okay.
Unfortunately, not anymore. Subway, I think, took their spot. But I always make sure my body's fueled, and that starts days in advance too.
Sure.
And also hydration too.
Yeah,
Right now
absolutely.
it's Friday. I've been hydrating since Thursday.
How many ounces of water do you feel like you drink? And I'm only bringing this up because our
we have a contest going on.
challenge this month with AM Wellness within our teams is a hydration challenge.
That's
So-
right.
Ask me this next week, because next week I have actually, this is one thing I probably can do better. And thank you for bringing this up. Is tracking what I drink, how much I drink. And I actually drink some Pedialyte too. So I'll drink a big Pedialyte bottle. Just because we'll burn so many calories and I will lose so much water weight. There's been races I literally lose 8 pounds throughout the race.
Holy cow.
If it's hot in the race car, you sweat a lot.
That's
and you don't
crazy.
need muscle, but you need endurance.
Oh, yeah,
so
for sure.
to prep myself throughout the week, I do a lot of cardio, a lot of riding my bike, driving my shifter cart, even driving my dirt bike.
Yeah.
I go out there, if I drive my dirt bike and ride my dirt bike, it's a lot of fun.
Sure.
But I go out there with the purpose of, all right, I want to run 50 laps.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to push hard every single lap, but I want to run 50 laps so I get a 30-minute workout, because this is an entire body workout. And same with driving my shifter cart too, my go-karts. I always have like a challenge for myself. I want to do 50 laps. 50 laps in a go-kart. Sam,
Oh yeah,
it's a long time.
I love it.
So
we had a good time at Joliet at the racetrack there. Araya, I have an idea. You need to invite Josh to join our water challenge.
You had literally
log
the
into
exact
the
same
app
thought.
and be part of Team Zeigler for the competition. It would be
We'll get
awesome
you
to
in
have
there.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Does
Get you in there.
Pedialyte count as water?
So, we just actually put that out. If you're putting electrolytes in your water, it does
Counts.
count. So
Okay.
Not just plain water anymore. We need to be able to replace those electrolytes.
Do Athletic Greens. Hashtag not a sponsor yet, but do Athletic Greens count, since every single person at this table except Bob
We're
is
going to
doing
have
it?
to ask Coach Jess
All right,
what our
that's
restrictions
coming
are
up
there.
next, right, on our next live stream. Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome. Good stuff, though, Josh. And you don't realize that, because a lot of people think like you are just getting in a car and you're just driving, right? But so much endurance and stamina and probably strength in shoulders and neck. Like, that's got to obviously play a huge part in that, too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's muscles you use that you don't realize you use until you're driving the race car. And the only way to build those muscles is by driving something. So a go-kart,
absolutely.
being in the race car consistently definitely helps.
Okay. Well, make sure you get your water intake today, too.
Yes, absolutely.
We're excited to watch at MIS, and it's interesting this entire year, Bob Keel, there has been drama on the racetrack at NASCAR. And Josh, one of his talents is being there without getting too crazy into it. But what do you have for us on the drama side, Bob?
I agree with you. The first thing I want to say is I'm excited to hear from Josh that Jimmy John's is the breakfast/lunch of champions if you're going to go racing. So now I feel much better when I have Jimmy John's.
Yeah.
But welcome, Tim Zeigler, and MIS is going to be a lot of fun. We've got over 100 team members that are going, plus all the fans that are going to be there. And yes, Josh, you can go into this a little bit. We have had a lot of drama in NASCAR this year. There seems to be Denny Hamlin seems to be the center of most of it. We've got a lot of stuff with Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain, and a few other drivers out there. So what can we expect for fun and excitement at MIS?
Well, I'm going to start by saying Ross Chastain owns the company that represents me. Ross is a very great friend of mine. But it seems like Denny and Ross are the center of a lot of drama this year. And I look back at even some moments with smaller teams, Ross Chastain and J.J. Yaley at Dover. It was Brennan Poole, my bad. It was Denny Hamlin and J.J. Yaley at Richmond. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson this year. There's been a lot of drama. And as I mentioned, talking about this specific race, it's so wide. Everybody wants to barrel down to turn 1 5 wide. But you got to get to 3 cars. So 2 people are going to have to give, but nobody gives. So that's how this drama has started. Sure. One person does something the other guy doesn't like, but they're all racing hard. And it happens all the time. That's when retaliation comes into play. And if a driver doesn't like something somebody else did, they may lay to the bumper to somebody throughout the corner and spin them and wreck them. So I wouldn't be surprised if I see it this weekend.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. And like you said, Ross Chastain is a great talent. He's brought some excitement to NASCAR over the last year and a half, and with that great finish last year. And like Sam alluded to earlier, I mean, you're involved in a lot of the excitement too, but you bring back the car one of the cleanest guys in the Cup. I've been fortunate enough to kind of be around you since 2019. We've been to a lot of races together, and you are really good at keeping the car clean and finishing a lot of laps. So that's exciting for us to watch that and see you get there, but it's going to be fun for sure. There's going to be a lot of speed there.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, that's definitely a big key when you're driving for a small team. Bringing the car back clean, make sure you have a car that can go racing the next week or the week after, not costing your team too much extra money too. So, there's going to be a point, though, where that mentality for me changes, and I have to go out there and take that risk and push hard. And if I make a mistake, I make a mistake. And a lot of the veteran drivers, you might see a veteran driver make a mistake. That's because he's pushing at 11/10.
Sure.
And the team's okay with that. So, if I get the okay from my team, for example, at Talladega this year, we restarted with 5 laps to go in the Xfinity Series in the top 10. I asked my team owner before the restart, I said, are you comfortable with me where I'm at right here? Because we're going to go for it. He said, yes, we're here to race. Unfortunately, we didn't bring the car back clean. The car was destroyed. But if the team tells me we can go race, I'll go race.
Just like last year at Atlanta. I was fortunate enough to be on the pit cart for that race, and you guys had those conversations throughout the race. Stay clean until the end, and we're going to go for it. And you brought home a top 20. And, there's a lot of carnage in Atlanta, and you weeded your way through the whole thing, brought a top 20. And it was interesting to hear what I'll call the inside track when you and your crew chief and everybody are talking, hey, what am I doing here? What am I doing there? And it worked. So, yeah, I like to see that.
There's a lot of conversations happening at the racetrack. And if anybody's watching this and they download the NASCAR app, you can listen to all these conversations throughout the race from your phone, even if you're not at the racetrack. And you can watch our onboard camera throughout every race. So it's pretty cool. If you don't have the NASCAR app, I'd recommend downloading it.
Actually, not as an ad for the app, but the app adds a layer that you just don't see anywhere else. The conversation between you and the team ends up being pretty raw, right? It's like, watch for this, watch for that, and it's like, why is this happening? So you can really see behind the scenes in a way you can't ordinarily.
And a lot of drivers will actually get into arguments with their
yes.
And it doesn't mean they don't like each other.
Yeah.
I think a friendly argument might be good sometimes. But I mean, the crew chief isn't the one driving the car, so there's a lot of disagreements sometimes.
Yeah.
But the crew chief has more tools on his laptop that he can see what other drivers are doing. So it's pretty funny. Sometimes even if I'm not behind the wheel, I'm listening to other drivers, and they start bickering. It's a little bit comical.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. That app is great. I've used it myself, when you're not at the track all the time. It does add, like Sam says, adds a different layer and a different dynamic.
Yeah.
You actually get into it more.
Absolutely.
Because you have an inside track, so you're kind of into the event more.
So obviously, we've learned at the Zeigler Auto Group that practice makes perfect. The more we practice before we go do something, the better we become, right? And we practice a lot. You don't have that same opportunity coming into MIS, do you?
I don't. Unfortunately, NASCAR limits our testing policy to basically nothing. So the last time I drove this race car was in Chicago. And the last time that anybody else drove this racetrack was last year in Michigan. So yeah, there is no testing for us. I can't take this race car and test at any racetrack. NASCAR, if they find out, they will find us. So how I prepare is on my simulator, which is at my house. We do get a little bit of sim time at the Chevy simulator too in North Carolina.
It's a video game.
It basically is a video game. It's a very accurate,
Bob, you'd like that.
very realistic.
Araya?
If you need a relief driver, Josh, you just call. I'm in. I'll sit on that
I
sim
think we
as
need a
long as you
sim
want.
set up here at Zeigler Motorsports. But yeah, it's a very, very accurate video game that every single track is laser scanned. Every car is laser scanned. The adjustments you can make in real life, any adjustment you can make in real life, you can make on the simulator too.
Yeah.
So that's a big help. And then also just studying last year's footage, whether it's actual race broadcast, whether it's an onboard camera, it doesn't sound like much, but that's about how I prepare for the race weekend since we can't actually drive the race car in real life.
It's interesting because one of the things we used to ask you on the podcast is what's the biggest myth most people have about NASCAR? And in my mind, that's one of the biggest ones, is that you guys are out driving these cars all the time, getting a ton of practice. And in fact, it's a video game that you end up getting the most practice on.
Yeah, and that actually changed about 10 years ago. NASCAR limited our testing down to almost nothing. It used to be to where teams had drivers that all they would do is just test.
Yeah.
And their budgets would be massive. And, Jimmy Johnson would be out there winning on Sunday, but they would have a driver testing his car for him Tuesday and Wednesday throughout the week, and they would try so many different setups. But it's also, it's a huge expense to do that.
Yeah.
So NASCAR saw that, and then NASCAR actually pulled that back. So about 10 years ago, that stopped.
Well, NASCAR race car driver number 78, Live Fast, Josh Bilicki. We're so excited to have you here at Motorsports at the home of the Zeigler Auto Group. We're excited that you're going to be driving the car that bears our company's name. Gives us chills just thinking about how exciting it's going to be on Sunday to watch you race. We can't close this show out, especially with as full a table as we have, without making guesses, right? So what's everybody's take on where Josh ends, and then we'll let Josh make his own prognostication. Bob Keel, starting with you.
Oh, I think after seeing what Josh has done and what he's talking about, I think we're top 20 all day long.
Oh, I'm taking one up. I'm going top 10. We're pushing.
You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb, and and I've never been wrong on a guess about NASCAR at MIS before.
Okay.
I'm gonna say top 7. I'm going to say that you do as well or better than Xfinity last week.
That'd be amazing to do.
It'd
that
be
here
awesome.
in front of the Zeigler home team. I'm gonna guess 19.
Ooh, all right, 19.
I think that's a
No, I think you
realistic
can do
answer.
18.
18?
Which-
I'm gonna stay with 19.
which-
Wait,
Okay, all right, okay,
Which-
fine.
Table gonna go
Which,
17.
well, but actually, so him having given the answer, let's step back
Yeah.
and look.
Yeah.
NASCAR or Cup Series, incredibly expensive.
100%,
The amount of
yes.
money, the talent. I mean, we know all the talent because we see them every week. To get a top 20 finish would be astounding.
That's a win
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
Our team with 12 employees
Yeah.
versus Joe Gibbs' team with 500 employees.
Yeah.
Top 20 for us is a win. We're
Yeah.
a one-car team. They're a four-car team. They have so many more engineers. So it's not always an even playing field. I think that's definitely the biggest myth. I think
Yeah.
everybody on the outside thinks every car is the same. I think that's the biggest myth in the sport.
Yeah.
To what you just said before.
Yeah.
But yeah, top 20 would be a phenomenal day for us. And we were close last year, actually. Last year, I think we 22nd, 23rd. And, one good thing is we have 2 more opportunities after Michigan
Yeah.
with the Ziegler car.
Yeah,
We're going to Indy
Indianapolis.
next weekend, and we're going to Watkins Glen, which are 2
That's
road
right.
courses, which we just finished 8th on a road course last weekend. So we have some positive momentum. I'm really excited and blessed to be here at Zeigler Motorsports, but with you guys and with the Ziegler team coming this weekend, I'm really excited.
All right, let's go get it done. Bob Keel, Araya, Josh Bilicki, thanks for being here. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
Josh.
you.